You're moving to Orlando in 2022 and you're wondering, did I miss my opportunity? Is it over? Home prices are crazy. Economy's off the charts. Gas is insanely expensive. Is Orlando even an affordable place to move to anymore? Well, in this video, I'm going to cover if it is even worth, or even like, do you even save any money moving here? Because home prices have gone up. Inventory is still tight. There's less homes for sale. It is insane. And I'm going to tell you if you missed your opportunity when moving here, if you even have a chance of having a better life when you do. Let's get into it. What's up, everyone? My name is Cameron Hodge, and on this channel I talk about living and moving to Orlando, Florida, and I absolutely love it. I put out videos every Tuesday and Thursday, but while I even love making this content to help you make that move and avoid all the pitfalls when you do that, I love even more being a licensed real estate agent in Orlando, Florida, helping you make your real estate decisions when moving to Orlando. So this number popping up below is how you can get a hold of me. Call, text, email, whatever you have to do. I'm always getting reach outs, even on weekends, even at nights, and I love it. It's what I do. I love helping people when they make that real estate decision coming out here and avoiding all the mistakes that I made when we came out here, and helping you make smart decisions, making sure you can have a better life and make good financial decisions. So give me a call, give me a text. I'm here for you. So getting into it. You're looking at moving to Orlando this year and you're wondering, like, did I miss my opportunity? Like, is it just way more expensive? Is it even worth it? Can I even get a home when I come here? Like, what the heck is going on? So it is, a fear that a lot of people have, especially those who are already living in Orlando. And if you're watching this and you live there, you're like, look, this is insanely expensive. Now, those of us who are making the move to Orlando, it's perspective, right? Because you look at like California, like San Diego, right? Average price points close around 800,000 for the whole county. Like, yes, you can find cheaper, but like that's where it sits, and it's insane. So you look at that and you're like, holy crap! Like, how am I gonna even, like, that's insane. You look at Orlando and it's right around like 400,000 is where the average sits. But as we all know, if you are in Orlando, it's like you can find homes well cheaper than that price. You're not going to be spending at the top of your market, but it is a crazy economy. And it's not just, the rest of like these crazy markets like New York City, San Diego, California, Phoenix, where these home prices are insanely expensive. Like, Orlando is feeling a lot of the same pains, just maybe not at a crazy as high level as other places. But like I mentioned before, like, you might experience an income drop when you move here. So you could actually be affected when you make the move out here. But I'll give you a story. So even when we were coming out here to Orlando, home prices were already more expensive than they were, right? Like, when I was at Orlando 10 years ago, like, it was nowhere near the home prices and rent costs that it is now. Like, it was even more affordable then, right? And you think back, you're like, man, like, I could have been like, look, there's way cheaper areas. I could have gone to the middle of the Midwest, right? Like Oklahoma, and had a under $100,000 home, small little starter home, and had a great freaking cheap life with my family. But the reason we came here is for a better life. It was to make a good decision. And like I tell anyone who reaches out to have that conversation, is you need to understand why you're moving to Orlando. What are you trying to accomplish? Like, when we came out here, it was to have a better life, to have more options for our kids. And yes, like, even with the cost being higher at that time, and even now, like, with the right decision, the right, choices, like, you are probably saving money depending where you come from. Now, not for everyone. Every situation is different. Some people could be coming from a cheaper area, but you want to move to Orlando because you love it. And you love being so close to all these things to do in the area. But at the same time, like, most of us, I think that, that reach out, they're coming from more expensive markets, and they're tired of the political scene where they're coming from. They're tired of like the restraints in their lives. They're tired of like a quarter of their income going to taxes for what? And Florida still has its own problems, its own situations. But I can tell you, even since making the move out here, like, there's so much more opportunity compared to the rest of the country. Whether you like it or not, whether you agree with what's going on, it's just a fact. Like, the tax burden is less than most states. I'm not going to say all, but most. It's the tax burden is less. There's so much to do. The schools are getting better. And, not everyone agrees, but look, that's my opinion. Like, I love hunting. I love fishing. I love guns. I love, being able to do more with my family and be able to experience more. Like I've said before on the, on this channel, is that, the home we built was like barely more than the condo I sold in middle of nowhere, San Diego in the North County. Like that's insane. And when we made the move out here, like we were already winning because we made the right plan. Now, I created this channel because I wanted to share all the pitfalls. Because like if you choose the wrong area, like you can move out here and hate your life. Because it's mentioned before, like it is so easy to make a wrong turn, go to the wrong block, and you're not going to know. And like really, when you reach out to me, like a simple conversation, I can really help pinpoint the exact area you should consider. Not like a handful of areas, like not here to steer you in any direction. Like nothing can compete with you and your family, if you have one, making the trip out here and traveling around. Because it happens all the time. Like you might like one area, but then a year down the road, you'd be like, man, I think I want to move over here because this area is great, but it doesn't fit my needs with what I want for my family. That's what it always comes back to, is every situation is different. But when you reach out to me, I can give you a hot sheet of like a rough overview of these areas. I'm like, hey, go here, travel around, and let me know what you think. Because a lot of times, like you might be looking like, oh, I'll be close to Disney World. I want to be in Kissimmee or Champions Gate or, or Dr. Phillips. But then you look at your budget, or you look at, wow, man, it's like really crowded than what I think I really want. It's like, well, Horizon West has new construction that might be a little bit more your needs, a little bit off the way there. Like we, Davenport, going into Polk County, like you get some more space. Or maybe you're like, man, you know what? I'm okay. I'm not really going to Disney World that much. I should drive up, go to the North Orlando to Lake Mary and see what that's like. See what, Zellwood is another option. Like, you really have to expand. And when you reach out to us, we can help shave off that learning curve. It's like, because like I went through the pain of traveling around, even where we live now, like we might years down the road consider moving to a different location because we made a choice. But not without the right guidance or the right understanding of where your budget and your situation could put you. You're just not going to know. And you're going to make the wrong choice. I mean, I had a friend that came out to Orlando and they went straight to renting in Champions Gate and they hate it because in their mind, they're like, wow, Orlando's nothing but, tourists. It's crowded. It's terrible. And it's like, well, yeah, you work at Disney, like at the park. You live in Champions Gate and your traffic fare is where all the tourism goes during the year. Of course you're not going to like it because that's not you. And now they're in a situation where they're like, man, like they're considering leaving Orlando altogether, even though they came here for a reason initially, but they're like, man, I don't know, I hate it. And it's like, well, a lot of times, like and also a bad thing is once you make the move here, and like it's really easy when you get established, right? Whether you're renting or owning, like you're just gonna be like, you go to work, you come back, you go to work, you come back, and unless you travel around and experience things and make sure you set time aside to really get the full, gamut of what Orlando has to offer, like you're not gonna be in a place that you love. I mean, you could, if in the wrong area, could end up building resentment and just really hate the decision you made when moving out here. Or if you make a bad purchase decision, you could be, even with this, an estimated, home still appreciating value over the next couple of years, like you could find yourself in a place where you're underwater, where you bought in a bad area that's not expanding, and now you're like, man, I can't even move back to where I came from if I wanted to. So there's so much that goes into it, and you have to make sure that you make the right decisions when coming out here, the right plan, the right mindset, and then having the right team to back you up, because you could be in a world of hurt. But like I'll tell everyone, like some people, they're like, look, I'm making the decision. I'm okay with moving to Orlando and buying a home, and I'm okay with being here, and understand that in a couple years, if I want to move back, I'm okay with that. I gave it a shot. I tried it. I experienced everything I could, but it just wasn't for me, and that's okay. And if you're in a point in your life, right, where you might be younger with a younger family, like you can make that decision. There's no one saying that you can't. I mean, I'm a firm believer that everyone should leave where they came from at some point. Like I left my hometown. Like living in your hometown for your entire life just does not open you up to the rest of the world, and you need to travel around and try new places. And if you have the ability, come out to Orlando, give it a shot. Come out during the dead of summer to like the hottest, humid in August, and you will see if, man, can I tolerate this? Can I not tolerate it? But then also, if you have enough time, like come out during the winter. Beautiful, beautiful. You're living in a tropical paradise during that time, and just understanding, right? And even with hurricanes, people get concerned about the weather, but like it's relative, really. I'm like, if you have plans in place, you know it's a fact. Like eventually, like you might have to evacuate because of one, maybe not, but maybe you do. But making sure you have a plan in place so you know what to do when that time comes. So there's a lot of the negatives really comes down to either you like it or you don't. It's not for everyone. And having that conversation and realizing that before you even mess with any of the moves is such an important thing to do, especially nowadays where a lot of people are able to work from home still. So you could be working from anywhere, and it's like, does it have to be Orlando? No, absolutely not. Like, I think one of the most popular conversations we have with people is whether they should move to Orlando or Tampa, right? So maybe Orlando, while I do feel there's opportunity in moving to Orlando now, it might not be an opportunity for you because you won't like it. But maybe you travel the hour and a half to Tampa and there is opportunity there for you. And we help people go both ways because we have connections in Tampa as well that I work very well to make sure that everyone who reaches out is taken care of, because Orlando is not for everyone. Or some clients, they move to Orlando and then a year or two later, they're like, you know what? I think I want to go to Tampa. That's okay. Like, that is okay. But if you're like me, like you love Tampa, the sports, you love the beach, but you're okay with being away from it because you don't go that often, maybe once a month. Not a big deal. You travel over there for a weekend, or maybe you take a Wednesday off. You head over there with the family, the kiddos. Yeah, and you go have a good time. Like, we don't need to live next to it because Tampa is going to be relatively more expensive. Like, you're not going to find as many deals as you would in Orlando. So that's a negative against it, which is why a lot of people choose Orlando initially when they come to Central Florida. So don't get caught up in the news. Don't, man, it's so easy nowadays for all of us to get, you watch the news, you see like, oh, it's expensive, it's going up and up and up and it's terrible. But like, it all comes down to you, your situation, what's going on. Like, ignore the noise. Don't get caught up in it, because really, like, if you know, like, why, like, man, I always come back to why, but it's so important with anything in life. And if you're older watching this, you probably already get that. But for those that are like my age or like 35, you need to understand it's just like if you're looking at moving where you're from, it's probably because you're not happy. And if the only thing that's in your control is to make that move, to go to somewhere that's going to be able to give you the opportunity to have that freedom, then do it. Make the move. Because if you just stay where you're at and you stay unhappy, nothing changes. At least, like, the biggest thing in life is regretting not making a decision. Just like if you considered giving me a call and you're watching this and you haven't yet, like, forget the regret. Give me a call. Like, I really don't mind having an open conversation with you about whether it's a good decision or not, or maybe some things you haven't thought of, or just tell you my story again, one-on-one. Because trust me, like, I do it all the time. I don't mind it. So don't feel like that you have to be buying if you're reaching out. Like, give me a reach out. We can have a conversation. We can set a time to have a Zoom call with Brian and myself, and we'll go through everything and find out if it's right for you. Because that was one thing, like, when we made the move out here, like, we drove across the country. I took a month off. Now I have the ability to do that because I can refer out clients. I can set things in place to do that. Not everyone can do that. I completely understand. It is a hard thing to do. But we took a road trip across the country. We didn't know we were going. We knew Orlando was the destination on our trip, but we didn't know that that's where we're going to end up. Then we went from Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. We went all the way North Florida to Pensacola, all the way down Gainesville, Ocala, the villages, and we came to Orlando at the final stop. And I can tell you, after traveling in all the states, staying at a ton of cities, Orlando was the fit for us. And you have to be willing to branch around. I mean, it'd be crazy to me to think that if you're watching this, that you aren't looking at other cities. I mean, I know people watch like my Orlando versus Jacksonville, Orlando versus Tampa, coming soon, Orlando versus Miami and South Florida. And it's everyone's situation is different. Relocating and moving across states or maybe even countries, right? Like, I've had people from the UK, like, it's a big deal and there's a lot that goes into it. But I can tell you that there's still opportunity in Orlando. It's an amazing city. It's expanding. It's growing, for good or for bad, whether you're watching this. But it's a fact. And unfortunately, yes, times are tough. But personally, that's why it's even more important to realize if you're not happy where you're at, like, maybe you should just start making plans to get up and get out and start enjoying your life. Don't get caught up in being unhappy. And that was why we made the decision to move out here. We wanted more. I wanted freedom. I wanted my kids to be able to have more, for us to be able to, maintain our budget, not keep, like, I'm setting aside like a 25% of my income being self-employed in California to taxes. Holy cow, like Jesus, like talk about being ripped off. I mean, it's ridiculous. And even with, like, you know, the cost that we did incur moving to Florida, like we still came out ahead because we sat down forever to make that plan. Talked to friends I knew in the area, what they liked, what they didn't like since they moved here, and just we created the best. We got all the information we could to make the decision. But I didn't have a professional at the time to reach out to and help make that decision, which is something, yeah, in retrospect, that might have helped a lot more. But now I've been here, and while I create these channels, it's literally me experiencing more and more of being in Orlando, more and more of understanding what I like and what I don't like. And I can tell you, I'm so happy with the decision we made, because we had that conversation. We went through all the good and the bad that we possibly could with making the move out here. I mean, even when we came out here, it was August. it was thunderstorms every day at 1 p.m. guaranteed, nonstop. And it's like, oh my God, you know, it's like I go to play out with the kids or be in the pool of the home we were staying at, and boom, thunderstorm, out of the pool. Like, it's, man, it gets to you. But like, I grew up in the East Coast. For me, it's a way of life. For my wife, right? Like, she's not from here. She's not from the East Coast. She lived in Alabama for a period of time in Mobile, but she, you know, Florida was still new to her. She'd only vacationed here once or twice in her life. So she getting her perspective as well, because like I might like it, but if she absolutely hated it and wasn't willing to move, then we wouldn't have come out here. Like, it's going through everything and making sure we chose right. And like where we chose, even when we did move out here, like while we were looking at other areas maybe years down the road, at the time and even right now, like, it still was a good decision because we drove everywhere. Like, yeah, we had some fun with the kids, the dinosaur park, like some nature preserves, and heading east. Like, we had fun with the kids, but a lot of it was just like, you know what? We just pick a location and we're like, we're going to travel to the city and see what it's like. All right, we're going to go here and see what it's like. And then once we knew we were coming here, we're like, okay, like we're going to, like, this is our budget. Let's start looking around. What can I afford? Okay, this is what I can afford. I'm going here, going there, and like running through all the options. So it's like it's a funnel effect. You start high. Why do you want to move? You work your way down. You're like, okay, how am I going to move and when? Okay, I know when, and I know how. What's my finances? Like, what can I afford? What can I not afford? What are my non-negotiables for a home? Sweet. You know, and by the way, like, even if you're at the top of the funnel, like, give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email. Like, I am more than happy. You could say, Cameron, I am 2 years out. I'm like, fantastic. Let's have an initial conversation, and then you can reach out when you're ready. And that's how I tell everyone. Like, I love talking with people who are even toying with the idea of making the move, because you never know what's going to happen. Like, life changes so quick. I mean, think about 2 years ago, how much has changed in your life. Like, it's crazy, isn't it? You know, and if you're older, like, you already know this, but for those that are like under 40, like, man, isn't it crazy? You think back, like think 10 years ago, how much has happened in 10 years? It's crazy, right? So even if you reach out, you're far off in the future, like, we'll have a conversation. It's just a conversation. I love having it because it helps you make an educated decision when the time's right. And you never know. I mean, I've had clients and people reach out and they're like, hey, I'm thinking in the next 2 years making the move. You know, we talk through it. We have a good conversation. I'm like, hey, reach out when you're ready. Awesome. All of a sudden, 8 months down the road, they're like, hey, like, you know, things are going crazy where I'm at. Like, I'm so done with all the homelessness or all these crazy things. Or, hey, I got a job opportunity in Orlando with the same career. Like, I'm ready to move in the next 4 months. Like, awesome. Let's have a Zoom call. Let's get into it. Let's get you set up to make a good decision and good process moving out here. So if you're thinking of making the move or you have tons of questions and these videos aren't enough for you, but I hope you do enjoy them, give me a call, text, email. Don't forget to hit subscribe and like the video so that way you can be notified every time I drop a new one, which is every Tuesday and Thursday. I love this. It's what I do. Like, I love helping people make a good decision when coming out here, because going through the pain, like, why would you want to go through the pain when you can kind of hit that learning curve and try and get ahead of it, so that way you can make a good decision for you and your family. And when you come out here, you can go straight to just enjoying what everything Central Florida, especially Orlando, has to offer. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.